Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. My name is Jared Miguez, a co-host on this podcast that brings you the inspiring stories of our clients who are leaders and innovators across different industries in Southeast Louisiana. They are visionary entrepreneurs, savvy real estate professionals, media creators, military business owners, and community champions. And we are going to showcase the remarkable achievements and share their personal stories. Tune in for insightful conversations, valuable lessons, and motivational stories that are going to reveal their secrets to success and offer you insights to help you on your own path. Welcome to In the Arena podcast.
Someone asked me the other day if I went to a speaking class and if I had an MBA, and I was just like, no, it's all Hard Knocks 101, my friend. And I learned off other people. And I tell everyone all the time, I don't have every answer, and I never had every answer. It was the traveling, the meetings, and the thing is, you can register to go to a conference, but you have to attend the meetings. You have to do the networking, and you don't have to go to happy hour just to get, drinks. You can learn at happy hour also from people. And that's the thing is applying yourself to a conference and also applying yourself inside the conference are two different things.
Well, good morning. I'm excited today. I get to introduce Jared to one of my good friends for 20 years, Steven Fisk. Steven's a third generation owner of a global logistics company and its CEO. And I don't want to say a company because it's truly a network of companies, if you will, that kind of makes him into a one-stop shop, which we'll talk about because it's so unique in the industry. But I'm excited that we have a relationship. I love supporting your business because of how you support the community, how you support everybody around, how you support Salmon Spartans.
Yes.
In case y'all didn't realize, we got our colors on today.
We do.
Totally by accident. We didn't plan it, but
We all literally
go Spartans.
Yes.
dress exactly the same.
We're still showing the SHA Spartans. And we won't show our age, so I
Salmon.
appreciate our relationship goes back 20 years, but
And we're just gonna stop there.
I like our age.
we're just gonna leave that right there. It's actually more. We're just gonna stop.
Yeah.
We're just gonna stop. But
So I'm younger than both of you, so
you are younger than both of us. Whatever. Shut up. Oh. But honestly, like part of what we preach and Jared and I talk about all the time is doing business with friends.
Yes.
And that's so important to me. So I love that we get to do it today. Part of why we do this podcast is to explain to people the type of business that's possible in St. Tammany Parish. I don't think that most of the people that live here understand that we have global companies right here that they can learn from, work within, study with, and truly have good business minds like you, Steven, that get to help our community feed back in and continue to grow business across the world. And that concept to me is hugely important. And it's what gets me out of bed every morning for our law firm, knowing that, I get to be part of that. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully, I know you're always traveling the country and talking to everybody else around, but hopefully this will let the people of St. Tammany know you a little bit more intimately as well.
No, for sure. And it's weird is I talk so much everywhere and I never talk in the community.
Yeah.
And it's just when you ask this, it's very, honoring to help in the community and talk. And I waited a long time for you to be able to be my lawyer and legal team. And, as soon as Lauren and, Jacob started this arena, we moved all of our businesses to, you guys for all of our divisions to help us that way of the friendship. And not to mention y'all are the best, at getting stuff done consistently as well. And that's the hardest thing in business and marketing. When anyone can market or sell any product, can you stay consistent when the heat's on?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is when you're at your pressure point, you need to deliver consistency still. Anyone can be successful when they're slow or starting up. It's when you're successful to stay successful. And that's the thing that so many people miss the mark on. Oh, if they get the business but lose it so quick.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest key.
So she said you're a global logistic company. So let's give everybody a little bit more insight. So the name of your company and then what y'all actually do.
Okay. So our company main hub name is Fisk International Group now. And what we specialize is global logistics shipping, whether it's domestic, international, freight, whether it's railroad, air, sea, boat, vessel, any type of logistics form you can think of shipping something from A to B is what we specialize in. We tailor towards corporate and government contracts to where we relocate the office, the personnel, the goods, the new products, pretty much anything that can ship legal, we try to offer and sell it. We don't hold back on any commodities products. I mean, we move phone books, we move cars, we move brand new pieces of furniture that's just wood. It's literally whatever the commodity pays and whatever the accounts are seeking.
Yeah.
And we try and stay in our lane. I don't try and get cute to doing one-time only bids. That's not our specialty, because normally, if anyone's listening in business, when you try and do things outside of your box, you lose money.
Sure.
And that's the hardest thing in logistics is
Chick-fil-A does good chicken.
yes, there's a reason why Todd Graves is worth $9.9 billion, which he's the richest person in Louisiana, if you didn't see that report, off chicken tenders. Chick-fil-A is bigger than that, but a guy in Louisiana, right down the street, is worth $9.9 billion off of chicken tenders.
Which is a good time to point out that your company is the largest moving company in the state of Louisiana as well.
That is correct.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is correct. And that is for household goods moving. And, it's an honor to have that. And the LMTA, which is association, has really tried helping the movers in Louisiana, but Louisiana is just a very tough state to get a lot of things done. And we've tried advocating and politically getting that arrow done the right way. And it's an honor that we do so much in this state and city and community. And some days I sit back being like, man, I wish we can do more, because I feel like I started my career door to door, going to realtors and mini storages and apartment complex. And now I'm, knocking at the door of oil and gas companies, insurance agencies, the largest companies in the world. It's weird to look at the transformation over 2 decades, but also still have our roots back, home, and why our business is still in Slidell and St. Tammany Parish.
And for all of our Slidell people, this is Slidell moving. You've seen those trucks.
That's awesome.
That you've gone, back in JF Smith Business Park, and you've seen their building back there. So same trucks, Slidell moving, still there. You can still help everybody locally in the community. And all those agents that we work with, I've been explaining that to them every day, and through Boss Move as well, our sister company. But that is Fisk International Group, right?
Yes.
And you still get that local feel, employed by local people, but they have global reach and global capabilities. And that's a beautiful thing. And I have to point out too, I work with a lot of different big businesses, and entrepreneurs are wonderful at having good ideas, but not all of them are so well versed in their industry. And so I just want to point out to all of our people that grew up with us, like, you were the athlete in school, right?
Yes.
You had good grades, but by no means were people walking around, and Steven was known for being this great mind. But in working with him, like, it's so refreshing because you understand the regulatory challenges. Like, when he was talking about advocating, he understands the rules and regulations and the laws behind his business. And we can have a quick 5-minute conversation that would take me down a path of 45 minutes trying to explain something to another entrepreneur. So it's just beautiful to see you in that perspective and watch your friend and realize what they're capable of, and that you truly are a great business mind. And I mean, you're just educated on this. I mean, what has it been, 20 years that you've been doing this?
21 years. Yeah.
21 years.
I stopped freshman year in college and dropped out, stopped pursuing basketball, and started in this office.
Yeah.
And just so people know, is Slidell Moving was a very hard decision to replace changing that name. It was nothing about what my grandfather started. It was when you move executives from, Colorado to China, or move a job from Canada to Brazil, they see Slidell Moving, they were referencing us as a U-Haul mover or a small local operation, and it was hurting us getting the big sales, like a contract in London we just signed. I would have never signed that contract with Slidell Moving.
Yeah.
And that's when you look at your name and marketing, and all we did was we just added the trade name. We got licensed, I'm sure, but I didn't get new tax IDs and nothing. I just added entity. That way people didn't think we were changing names or closing up. And that name brand has opened up every door possible for us to compete against the bigger, billion-dollar companies of our industry. That way, little guy from Slidell's competing with someone that runs a billion-dollar company now, all because of Slidell Moving is now Fisk International Group.
And it's cool. It's a cool name too, so that helps.
It is.
So you talked about it earlier about having pivoting whenever you saw the market opportunities changing. So talk about how you decided and how you researched and knew whenever it was time to make that shift. You said 90% was government work, 90 plus.
Yeah, 98%.
And now you've reduced that down to a quarter of your business. So how did you make that decision, and what research were you doing at that time?
So I always say this, always learn, always have necessarily not a mentor, but someone to follow the guide. And I go to a lot of conferences. I listen to a lot of people speak, and I just kept going to these government, they called it like town hall meetings. And I kept listening to the verbiage over and over. I was like, they're really going to change this.
Yeah.
And some of the older school guys in the industry, whether the owners or managers were like, oh, there's no way they're changing the program. And it's like, oh, it's happening. And after about the third year of watching this, I was like, yep, this is happening and changing. So I literally went to my wife and I was like, I'm doing old school sales. I started, knocking on doors, started going after sales, started going after corporate work, start trying to put my name in every meeting, every conference, attended every session just to say, oh, that's Steven. And just kept plugging away. And it took a decade to move that needle that far, 70 something percent difference. But now that we moved it and we're in the game, now the phone rings and rings and rings. I'm not having to travel as much. Now, granted, I have to travel for different reasons, but I'm not having to go after and do the work. And
shopping is not a reason to travel.
yes,
Steven.
very true.
Well, so
Yes,
I mean, that's
a lot of people. I am the shopper, not my wife and the family.
It's funny you say that. So I mean, that was in my mind transitioning the conversation. I was going to move from having to shift and make the decision to pivot on your business, and then marketing and sales, and how you were able to build relationships. I was literally having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were mentoring a younger person in the business, and they said you should always be moving, always be in front of somebody, always be having meetings with people and one-on-one building relationships. And you can either build relationships, you can generate content, or you can sell ads for your business. So how were you generating business how were you in the pivot? How were you making relationships?
So definitely not being scared to walk in a room to people I had no clue who was.
Yeah.
I flew to Puerto Rico in November of 2019. I kid you not, at a conference that I knew not one person, 300 people. And I told my wife, it was a last minute trip. I said, I really feel like this is the next step to get us away from the DoD business we're losing. And I flew in this conference and not being scared to get uncomfortable and not being scared to act like, okay, I don't know everything going on. Let me ask questions. And I went to this conference, and sure enough, I met the owner of a very large account, which is going to be probably our third biggest booker this year. And right before COVID too, and had international contracts. And by me traveling so much, not staying in my circle of, getting outside my element and going to places that normally I wouldn't go to, that is how I was able to always be moving, to sell and put myself out there. People's like, oh, I thought Steven was just DOD and that's all they knew me for. I started putting myself in other sectrums and conferences. And then next thing you know, I started being welcomed back and then asked, and now they asked me to speak. And it was all because I took a chance to travel, invest money, but I went and got outside my element and spoke to people that I never spoke to.
Yeah. So what gave you the confidence to do that, though? Because a lot of people struggle with that.
I guess playing sports as my whole life, I was very blessed to have some talent and skills. And I guess being a leader on the court, or whether it was football field and, little league or baseball or basketball, I kind of was the point guard and leader of the team. So I guess a lot of my confidence and success in business and leadership comes from the sports field, honestly.
Go Spartans.
Of being a leader. Yes. Go Spartans.
Man, I tell people, and I tell people that all the time. I was lucky enough to play on some very good high school teams too. When we ended up winning the state championship in baseball my senior year, and the momentum of the confidence that I went into in college after being successful in high school at sports, and then all through college, you parlaying that confidence into law school, and then all the law school experiences I had and the things that I was able to work through, because I learned how to work hard at a young age to perform at that level in high school sports. I think it made a huge impact in my life.
Yes.
The momentum definitely carries people forward for sure.
No, absolutely. And it's kind of like you said, it's something you can't teach in a classroom. You either have it or don't, but having that success in sports portrays to the business world, where a lot of executives are, sports background.
Yeah.
And then if you didn't know this, 75%, I believe, of CEOs are left-handed. Some crazy number. That is a true state. I found that the other day at a dinner in Miami, me and my wife were at. And she's left-handed.
Are you left-handed too?
Nope, my wife is. So she's the entrepreneur in the family.
Nice. That's funny.
Yes, I live in her shadows.
She's amazing.
Yes.
She's right-handed. So
I love her.
Yes. Are you left-handed?
I have to keep all the lefties in check.
So yes.
My best friend, my godfather, my partner. I mean, apparently I have an affinity to lefties.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
At least I married one, so I guess.
That's right.
I'm good
You
on
have
it.
the same.
Yes.
Who
And
would-
someone asked me today if I went to a speaking class and if I had an MBA, and I was just like, no, it's all Hard Knocks 101, my friend. And I learned off other people. And I tell everyone all the time, I don't have every answer, and I never had every answer. It was the traveling, the meetings, and the thing is, you can register to go to a conference, but you have to attend the meetings.
Mhm.
You have to do the networking, and you don't have to go to happy hour just to get, drinks. You can learn at happy hour also from people. And that's the thing is applying yourself to a conference and also applying yourself inside the conference are two different things.
Yeah.
And that confidence after so long, it becomes, out of habit. And it's just like when you asked me earlier and other people about speaking, it's like, this is kind of like a drop in the bucket and a job for me now. And I enjoy it. And the fact that, you guys asked me to come on is, I think I told you, let's just do raw data and just chop it up and talk, because that's some of the purest and realest moments anyway.
Man,
So,
I mean,
Absolutely.
the point of podcasting, in my opinion, the point of video marketing in general is just to build genuine relationships with people. And the conversations we would probably have sitting down and having lunch, if we record that and share with everybody, maybe someone else can learn from it, and you're adding value just by having genuine conversation.
yes.
And if you script something and you plan out what you're going to say, it doesn't come across, and people can tell. So I
Yes.
totally agree with you when it comes to that. So and relationships are important to me too. So I love going to conferences and just talking with random people to get to know them and figure out what they do that makes them successful and different and unique, and what the strategy and the things that they've learned. Because I love asking questions. Sometimes I probably ask too many questions and
Yes.
value the coaching probably more than maybe what I should. But I love getting people's perspective and learning from their mistakes so that I don't have to make those mistakes going forward.
I'm constantly preaching the most successful people in the world are resourceful.
Mhm.
And they can't even get in touch with those individuals that are experts in the industry unless they're out and about building relationships with the experts
Yes.
in the industry. So there's just a beauty to walking into a room, not thinking you have to know it all, right? And I think that's part of building the confidence as well. Not only is it like a stepping stone of all the successes we had as children in sports or in academics or in our younger years, in our smaller jobs, but it's actually just building up the idea and being settled in the fact that I am confident in who I am and my capabilities. And then I can go and ask those questions with confidence, right? And that gets you in front of the right people that support you. And then you scale. Not
Yes.
one person has done it or has gotten there, if there is a there, right?
No,
By doing it all themselves.
not at all. And I say it just religiously. You've got to have a good partner at home that is a solid rock that can handle everything that's part of
Shout
it.
out Amanda.
Yes, very much so. And you have to have a good team that you trust, because
Shout
if
out Jesse.
if I sit, yes, Jesse and Terrence hold the fort down,
Yeah.
and they have been with me for decades. If I sit at my desk, that's not good for our company.
That's right.
I need to be there. I need to be present. But if I'm not, like Lauren just said, networking and meeting people, pursuing, if I wouldn't have went to Puerto Rico, if I wouldn't have went here, if I wouldn't have went to Boston, all these things that happen is because I put myself in a place to be successful
Yeah.
and open up to new exposure. But you have to have your team and your companies run. But if your household isn't in order, all that's out the window, because you're only focused on that. And anybody in a relationship, you're going to have ups and downs. And as long as you're working on it, you're fine. But as long as you're headed together to the right spot, the business side comes easy.
Yeah.
It really does. I tell people all the time. But the minute you think you're by yourself and you're doing everything by yourself, you're literally in a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And you're just spinning and spinning, and you're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
You might be successful, sure, and you might, great, but like, what legacy are you leaving and mark for your kids, and what are you doing for the future, and what are you doing with your success? That's the thing that is very, very deep to me is, what are we doing with our success now, for sure.
So like a business owner, and I was literally transitioning into this too. So it's great. This conversation is naturally happening that way. So you're paying attention to the market, you're paying attention to your industry to make sure you know when to pivot, you know how to build relationships and how you market. And then you have a team that you obviously were talking about, your team at home and your team at the office that manages everything, so that you can go and be that face of the company and grow it. So how has your company shifted from an organizational standpoint? So we talk a lot about operating systems, how you manage your business. So how did you structure that? How did you make that decision? Who's on your team now?
So I recruited a guy named Brian. He is my right-hand president, COO, from a big corporation in Houston. And for me to do everything you just asked, I knew I had to replace myself.
Yeah.
From the day-to-day actions I was doing, because I was at the office a lot and traveling and, doing emails at 2 a.m. in the morning. And anyone that grows a business successful, as us three all know, you don't do it 9 to 5 or 7 to 4. It does not happen.
Hell no.
And then if you have kids, that just adds another. you know,
we tired out here.
another job.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
There's a reason why there's a lot of espressos and coffee, and there's teas now with 2,000 milligrams of caffeine, it seems like. And I recruited Brian, and they put me in to look at my vision and say, how can I get here, where we're at, and how, but who has had success in the past? I interviewed 4 or 5 people and brought him, relocated him from Houston, him and his family. And I basically, to be successful next stage, I had to close the book on my job that day.
Mm-hmm.
I could not manage him, could not micromanage him. I had literally to let him fly and let your team make mistakes. And because of that, and for my transition, I was able to focus on other things and other avenues and other departments and other, revenue streams for us as well, not necessarily shipping and logistics. And that right there is putting the right people in place, or recruiting the right people in place, is the biggest success that we've had, is letting them make their own mistakes.
Yeah. How much of a head start did you give him though? So, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because like when I look at business and our business, like I can see the area, like I can see very clearly in my head how everything breaks down, who fits what role, who does what, whose responsibilities are what. And sometimes it's hard to articulate that to your people. But so how much of that did you know before you hired him, or did he help you put those things in place?
Oh, for sure, help me put them in place. I watched what his success was at his current employer, and I saw in my head and vision where I wanted to go, but I knew I couldn't. I could get there, but I'd be living at my office,
Yeah.
right? And I would say he probably created half of our platform now.
Nice.
For sure. Our whole customer service, our whole processes. He changed our entire process of how we process orders. He changed all of that. And I gave him half of a platform of, hey, here's a couple accounts. But as far as the growth and expansion, he's probably 100% of that part, that
Yeah.
side. And we've grown our business, probably double the last couple of years because of me and him working together and, thinking outside the box and letting him develop his own, his own mistakes that lead to success, because he really knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's added more jobs for us.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
And
well,
we're
congratulations on overcoming that challenge.
Yes, it's not easy.
Yeah,
this is not an easy thing. I'm sitting here saying it was a lot of headaches, and we're transparent with our clients and accounts. There's a very big store that we all shop at daily. We're one of the largest providers and vendors, and full transparent. If we make a mistake, we tell them. We don't hide it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Brian manages this account, and that's helped us be more successful because we're not hiding stuff from them. If we make a mistake or we miss a load or delivery, there's a reason for it, or a truck, we can't recover it. We just tell them and we move on instead of trying to make, 800 excuses. So growing to that point, you've got to be transparent with your customers and clients. If you make a mistake, just own it and live up to it. I think, sweeping under a rug per se doesn't really work in today's society, especially with social media, with cameras, live recordings, and all this. You're going to get out it real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And we're human. I think businesses expect that, right? And
Yes.
then when you're upfront, it just shows your values, and that makes everybody more comfortable. That deepens the relationship of trust.
Yes.
I like that. It's true.
So moving forward, what's the goals for your business going forward? Like what kind of things y'all trying to accomplish next?
So, a lot.
Don't give the whole list.
Yeah.
No, I'm about to say we'll be here all day.
Right.
Sorry. So we are looking to expand several more offices. We have a need for a couple of accounts. We just opened up we merged and bought a company currently in Boston. We have 2 other markets that we'll be opening by the end of this year. Oh, the foundation, which we haven't even talked about, I just realized, which is fine. But my goal is to build the business within 5 years, give or take. There's no timeline because I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. But I want to put the people in place. I want to let them run their processes. If we have multiple offices and we're blessed to succeed with this, I want them to run on their own. That way I could, pivot back some and have a little bit more time for my home life. Especially we have our youngest is 3. We have older teenagers. And
Nice.
so we have a big gap. So I want to try to, especially if he plays sports, because I'm trying to make him a left-hander. He's both hands right now. He uses both. So we're pivoting more to the left with him. I'm just saying.
That's awesome.
And I want to spend more time with coach and hang out with them. But me and my wife have a foundation, the Fisk Foundation, that we're very heavily involved with a lot of projects. So my end game is to, of course, grow the businesses and successful, but hopefully at one point within 5-10 years, I can actually work the foundation 75% of the time and let
Right.
the business run on,
Tell us about the foundation then.
So, me and my wife started the foundation. We've always been heavily active with the community and doing a lot of things, even back from Slidell move-in days, where we've done stuff in Oklahoma, California, wherever a disaster happens. Me and my wife's always helped. And a couple years ago, we decided, I did 2 projects and I watched all this money and stuff go towards, honestly, it's like a FEMA group. And I just felt like it was a waste of resources and time. And granted, I made sure that the right church got the stuff. But at then I was like, if we're going to dedicate our time and commitments, I want to just be able to control where the money's going.
Yeah.
So we came up with the idea of the Fisk Foundation. And when I say 100% of the money we collect goes towards the foundation, me and my wife cover all of the fees. There's no admin fees. There's no money. There's no supplies, legal. Me and my wife cover 100% of the cost out of our personal pocket, to where we help with mental illness. We work with the NAMI chapter in the community. We've done fundraisers before. We build a lot of playgrounds for kids.
Cool.
And it's communities helping in crisis. So we do stuff for Reese across America. We got toys. There's 118 homeless kids in Slidell. Someone called me 2 weeks before Christmas, said, hey, these kids don't have toys. Me and my wife, the foundation, bought toys for all these kids. We have a trailer and we have a couple of trucks that we've converted from our moving to our foundation, to where we do toy drives. We move trees. We move whatever we can to help the community. And playgrounds, we kind of came to our our cliche, to where if kids have trouble at home, but if there's a playground by their area community or church, and they could have a little mental peace during that playground, that's kind of what stuck with us for sure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of being where if I'm having a rough day, I'll drive to a playground that we've done and watch kids play. And we just completed one last week. We're doing 5 projects right now with the foundation all around the community and area. We actually have a project working with the mayor in Slidell right now for something. And there's a bigger play that me and my wife are working on for Slidell for the foundation. And the thing that we keep reminding people is, this isn't a charity to, put money in our pockets or for me to do a business write-off. You could ask my lawyer, which y'all are the lawyers. I don't want any advantage for the foundation for our businesses. And I've been very vocal about
He's
that.
very adamant about it.
And I am very, very adamant that I just don't want, I know we could get breaks and laws, but that's not why we did it. And for years, we didn't even tell people what we're doing with the foundation. And I got connected with a country in Africa and a place in Dallas, to where we're giving school bags for villages and toys. And they're like, we want to recognize you. And I was like, we don't want to be recognized.
Yeah.
And that is when I started putting more stuff about the foundation out, because when I needed to get a bigger check,
need
getting
help.
5
Yeah.
and 10,000 is easy. You ask someone for $100,000 check, they want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so now we're putting the Fisk Foundation out there more and more on what we're doing. My wife has a clothing and salon store where she brings in old clothes, and she does like the programs for girls that can't afford prom dresses
Nice.
and clothes. So we try and collaborate her businesses, and our business together at the foundation. And it's really about helping the community, and all over the world help, but we still try to keep our roots, in Slidell and the St. Tammany Parish.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many projects y'all did before the foundation was
Yes.
the foundation, right?
Yes.
And so we don't want to
So many.
discredit that. It's a beautiful thing. And that's
Yes.
why I love growing businesses in the community, because it immediately gives back.
Yes. Hospice. I have been a huge supporter
Yeah.
for hospice. The Crawfish Cook-Off. We store all their stuff, provide labor for free, and provide storage for free. I found out what they're paying for storage centers, 15 years ago or something.
Mm.
And, I tell Miranda now, it used to be Kathy, and it's Miranda now. It's like, it's the least we can do. We put trucks out there and let them just buy. And that right there is when I started realizing how easy I can give back with resources we have.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everything takes time and money, but the best part is watching them build their house in Lacombe and then invite you to an open house. And are these kids? The school that we just did the playground last week, they sent me pictures. The kids are smiling, and it's just, they got brand new playground to play on. These are like churches, or we try to target places that really need the value.
Yeah.
And that was the whole purpose of the foundation, was we can control where we put this stuff to make sure it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the taking off. And if anyone knows me, I don't do things halfway. So if we're going to commit and do
You
something,
can say half-ass. It's good.
yeah, half-ass. And we try and make sure it's our all. And we're actually about to, one of our small moving box trucks, are about to wrap the Fisk Foundation and take off the Fisk International Group and slide all moving. Well, technically taking off slide all moving because I knew I was wrapping it. So I'm not paying decal people twice. But a friend of mine in Dallas is paying to wrap that whole thing. So I use my network from traveling, and I use my network that I've done for our trucking logistic businesses towards the foundation now.
Yeah.
And it really has been cool to watch the community, the local business leaders, and even globally. I got an award from the African consulate. And talk about scripts. They wanted me to write a thank you speech for an award they gave me. And I got up there and I'm like, I'm just speaking off the dome. Sorry. I felt weird reading the scripted speech they wanted me to write. But now watching the foundation get recognized, it's really heartwarming. And, that's what, business deals are great and money makes a lot of things easier. But the bigger you get, and this, the more headaches you have.
Yeah.
And the more money you make, the more you spend. That's such a cliche, but true. But the foundation that's the thing that sets
It's the
back
impact.
for.
Yes.
It's the impact that you're leaving.
Yes. We just did a big food drive for the First Baptist Food Pantry in
Yeah.
New Orleans with our trucking association. I incorporated my grandma and mom and at the food pantry my granddad worked at. And those are the things of just, my grandma still talks about it. And now she's going to the next conference in Nashville.
Yeah.
To run the booth. And it's just, those are the impacts that just settles.
That's
awesome.
a beautiful example of legacy too. One of our values for Arena Collective is legacy. And we always talk to entrepreneurs about the legacy that they want to leave. And I know you mentioned earlier that changing the name, you didn't want it to be a negative thing towards Slide Out Moving. But to me, I look at it as a positive, and I look at as building a legacy, right? Your grandfather worked hard to establish that company, and you're just helping grow it to have a greater and greater impact. To me, that is the true definition of legacy. And I can't imagine that he wouldn't be extremely proud like your grandmother is, right?
Yes.
To witness that and see what you've done with it.
Legacy is such a powerful word that no one really speaks of a lot.
It's our favorite.
Yes. I have a life coach that I have been dealing with for 5 years, but he's not a cheerleading life coach. He's literally like my therapist / best friend / coach, counselor, but he will steer me from left to right. Hey, James, I'll tell you, he's in California, and he put that word in my head of like, great, having a family business is great, but what are you doing with this? Like, what are your kids going to remember you as? And he had me really changing my head 4 or 5 years ago. Right before COVID, I started talking to him. Actually, I met him in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
At that trip I flew last minute. He was the first person I met. He wasn't even part of a trucking business.
That's awesome.
And I met him, and yes.
And look at the impact he had on your life, right?
Yes.
But adding a bunch of value and doing good things and putting good things out into the world, like that's international. Like that crosses every business platform in every industry. If you add value, you do the right thing, you put out positive vibes into the world, and you work really freaking hard.
Yes.
Like that's a key part of it too. But if you do those things, eventually good things will start to happen. There's no doubt. And then you create a legacy. But I think it's cool, and the idea that I'm just kind of wrapping my brain around right now, this conversation is like a lot of people probably don't get the opportunity to actually discover their why because they don't ever get beyond just the working every day to be able to just pay the bills, and they get distracted by things that are not necessarily important, and they're not disciplined with the way that they run their business or run their life to where they don't get the opportunity to even have a chance to think about how can I give back.
Yes.
Have the ability to do that, which is cool. So how do people get in touch with the foundation?
So we are on social media and internet. The Fisk.Foundation is the proper way to look up on the internet. And we have a company phone and we have emails. It's very simple. You log in. We have a very good SEO provider, but he's overcharging me, I think. So I need to work on getting this
We'll
donated
reevaluate
now.
that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And no, I'm just kidding. But no, you log on and you can email us, and we do a lot of people actually reach out and say, how can I volunteer? I took all the time. The best thing is when we do playgrounds, granted, I don't want you doing the concrete and stuff, but if you want to help tighten bolts, lay the mulch, clear the stuff, I mean, we are always looking for volunteers, and the community people reach out a lot.
Cool.
They really do. And that's the best way is the internet. Then we have company phone that you can text or reach. And I will have to give you that number because I don't know.
Yeah,
to be
we'll drop
honest
it
with
in the
you.
we'll drop it
We'll
in the
flash it.
comments.
Right
so
now,
that
it's
people-
flashing on the screen.
so people can
Please
see.
call now.
Yeah. All right, so before we wrap up, I got to ask this question. So obviously, your swag's important to you.
Yes.
So how does that play into the Steven Fisk persona?
So
They ain't gonna forget him when he walks in the
Yeah,
conference
that is
room. That's for
true.
sure.
when I started traveling and realizing that this was going to be my career, right? I was very young. I was in my mid 20s, early 20s.
Mhm.
All of my peers were 20 years above me. So what I realized back then was I had to stand out besides just a young kid because they had several other young kids. And back then I couldn't afford the suits that I have now, but I became very good friends with the guy that ran Express in the mall.
Cool.
And I would go to him and be like, hey, you got any suits on sale? Or, I had an Express card and, learn how to swipe that card real good.
Yeah.
And I started wearing Express suits. And I kid you not, they were nice, but I was in a moving trucking conference. So you got to realize me wearing an Express suit is like you wearing Gucci.
Yeah.
And I stood out. And then next thing you know, when people talked to me, I actually knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And then when people dealt business with me, they're like, oh, wait, he handles business. So the suit and the outfits became known as, oh, that's the kid that dresses nice, but also knows what he's doing. And now all of a sudden it's gotten to the point where if I don't dress a certain way, they're coming to me like, you're disappointing
I would
your
think
look
you were
today.
sick.
Yes.
Yeah. If you came to me and there wasn't some kind of flash, I'd be like, are we
Yes.
okay? Do we need to go to the doctor?
Yes, it's very true. I was actually, me and my wife sponsored an event in Miami 2 weeks ago, and it was at a beach bar function. And I'm like, cool, we're going to the beach. So I wore sandals and a tank top, Jackie Moon Flint Topics jersey to be exact.
Nice.
And I was just, I'm perfect. Well, no, I guess I should have read more. It wasn't on the beach. It was the beach attire. So everyone's dressed up. My wife's in a nice,
Dress. Yeah.
dress.
She
Everyone's
always looks
dressed-
good.
So, yeah, not one person questioned why I was wearing a damn jersey because that's just how I am.
Yeah.
And I was like, I misread this, guys. I thought we were on the beach and the stuff. But my dressing swag has gotten to the point where now I get a little older. It's hard to keep buying the clothes, to a certain extent. But it's gotten to the point where it's created the mold to where that's who I am. People don't know me. And it's helped us actually get business.
Yeah.
And I've had people come to me like, hey, can you look at doing this bid for us because, you dress really cool? I kid you not. That is what,
Yeah.
people ask us, man.
Get you in the conversation.
Yes.
I've gotten the same thing about having long hair as an attorney because
He's man bun.
Yeah.
when you stand out and then you have the confidence and then you actually show them that you know what you're
Yeah.
talking about and you do a good job, people like you to be a little different and stand out to the point where I was with a pretty big business owner in St. Tammany Parish and he walked in the closing room. He was like, oh, man, yeah, man bun, you're pretty cool. I'm like, I haven't said a word to you yet.
Yeah.
I just walked in with a man bun. And I mean, it sets yourself apart. And I think now if I cut my hair or if I didn't show up that way, people would think that something was wrong with me or I was less of a person than I am now. And it's funny because I tell everybody, like, if I drew a picture of myself, it would not have a man bun and it wouldn't have a beard. I just happened to gravitate to that. And at this point, you got to
Now
ride
you're
it out.
stuck with it.
Yeah, you got to ride
It's
it
the
out.
same thing. It's like you get stuck with it.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's a bad thing, even for your, your hair. It's like, I like it. I ain't got nothing wrong. But, 20 years ago, if a doctor had tattoos, you didn't want him operating on you, even though he's the best surgeon in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays, they're hiring people with tattoos because it's cool.
Yeah.
It's, that's the thing to have. And it's like your hair. Oh, wait, he actually knows how to do legal?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing of once you get that rapport, it's, I don't know, you kind of run with it.
I just think it makes you relatable and stand out so people don't look at you and think that you're just like everybody else walking in the room and they have to try to figure out who you are. They can kind of tell the vibe you have by if you're willing and able to stand out and be social apart. So I think it's cool.
Absolutely.
Well, good,
And
man.
I think everyone needs to be different, in their own way. And there's so many people that there's nothing wrong with having role models, but so many people get wrapped up not only in the social media world of what's fake and real, but just be yourself.
Right. Amen.
God created every person for a reason. Be yourself. Be confident in what you have. Not everyone offers the same traits, but just don't try and be someone that you're trying to look up to be, even though that's not your personality or your trait. And I think if everyone stays in their lane, that makes everything's easier. But
do it your own way.
No one stays in their lane, which is why there's so much. Or we have lawyers.
We're here. We got you.
Yeah.
We got to ask him the one question. What would you tell your younger self today?
Ooh. I like curveball questions. So what age bracket are we talking? Younger self.
Let's go to that early 20s walking in the conference.
Yeah.
Early 20s. Oh, what I would say. Buy a lot of commercial real estate.
Right. Amen.
Honestly, if I had to give one answer, because who would have thought commercial real estate markets now are 50 to 80 grand a month for a lease.
Yeah.
And people pay lease. And it's looking back at someone who owns your property, you're like, how are you paying lease? But that's what they want to do. And I'd buy a lot of commercial in big markets.
Well, that couldn't ask for a better
I love
answer
it.
for us.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
It still holds true today. But honestly, like I said in the beginning, it was a pleasure. It's exciting to have
absolutely.
a friend and a client on. And I'm glad y'all got to meet. I think y'all have way more in common. I don't know if that's a good or bad
Yes.
thing.
No, it's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's always a good thing.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's fun talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, it's been an honor, man. And like I said, I'm glad to finally come out here. I've just first time in y'all's beautiful office, and I actually took pictures to my wife. Like, this is actually very nice. You
Yeah.
know, I wouldn't expect nothing less, but it's cool to know that the people that you hire to represent you not only have a little style and, you know, swag with them, but also know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and then kind of like I do for the trucking, but everyone talks about Arena. When people ask me about who does your legal, it's like, Lauren, I'll start saying your name now too. Sorry. But, it's like Arena, it's all people talk about is good things about y'all. And that's what you want to be listed as. So,
Yeah, we work hard.
Well, that made my damn day.
Yeah.
yes.
Appreciate
That was
it.
not a plug either.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's
Yep.
awesome. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on, man.
Absolutely.